Brian Smack is the Manager of Club Safety at Earth Networks and a PGA professional. Brian helps club managers, golf professionals, and course superintendents throughout the country with severe weather and lightning solutions. Prior to joining Earth Networks, Brian was a PGA golf professional at some of the largest clubs in the Middle Atlantic and Northeast. Working in the hospitality business for 15 years, Brian understands the specialized nature of the golf and club industry. Brian is a graduate of the State University of New York at Adirondack with a degree in hospitality management. He is also a graduate of the PGA Professional Golf Management Program and was elected to PGA membership in January of 2007. Patrick King, CCM, CCE, has over 25 years of hospitality experience covering hotels, restaurants, and clubs. Currently, he is General Manager, Chief Operating Officer of the Army-Navy Country Club, a Platinum Club of America with locations in both Arlington and Fairfax, Virginia. Patrick attended East Carolina University on a golf scholarship and represented the Pirates in NCAA competition while earning his degree in commercial recreation hospitality with a minor in business. Mr. King holds the Certified Club Manager, or CCM, and Certified Chief Executive, or CCE, designations from the Club Managers Association. He has served on a variety of committees within the organization's National Capital Chapter, including twice as its president, and has served on several national committees for CMAA. So it's my pleasure to introduce Brian Smack and Patrick King. Brian, I'll turn it over to you.
Great, thank you, David. Hello, everybody. Thank you for participating in today's webinar. Hope you are able to get some great information, and we're going to talk about, is your club ready for weather? Myself and Patrick will be able to help answer any questions y'all might have. Definitely love the opportunity to hopefully answer some great questions at the end. So without further ado, we'll get started here. As far as, is your club ready for weather? As we talk about a lot of times, different types of severe weather that affect clubs. And I know many of you are from all certain regions of the country and may be impacted by different types of severe weather, whether it be tornadoes, flooding, fires, lightning, high winds, snow, drought, heat waves, hail, heavy rains. I think everyone can say yes, those are more specified to my areas. But as we talk about severe weather impacts, over the course of the year and over really the last couple of years, I think we've all seen a lot of severe weather occur, whether it be a lot of lightning from storms. Obviously in recent memory, a lot of the hurricanes we've dealt with this year and the wildfires out west. But as we really talk about severe weather impacts that affects your club in your facilities, it is lightning. And in the last 10 years, close to 340 people have been killed by the result of a lightning strike. 2/3 of the victims were engaged in outdoor activities, and more than 1,700 people have been struck by lightning in that 10-year time as well. So they may not necessarily have passed, but have been severely impacted, injured as a result of those strikes. In 2016, a lot of floodwaters, due to heavy rains, claimed the lives of approximately 140 people and cost the nation more than $4 billion to rebuild. As we know, the summer months, June, July, August, are historically the worst months for lightning strike deaths, and on average, about 30 people per year are killed from a lightning strike in that, and further another 270 people get injured every year from that as well. Just this year alone, as we know, it was a real bad hurricane year this year. There's been 5 Category 3 storms or higher. Obviously, the ones that hit Texas and Florida, as we know, affect a lot of our friends this past year, from those storms that occurred. In 2016, there was a lot of billion-dollar weather disasters, from flooding in Louisiana, a lot of floods in West Virginia, tornadoes in the Ohio Valley, wildfires in the southern part of the states, a lot of severe weather down south, Texas, Louisiana, a lot of flooding down there, and obviously last year a lot of drought out in California and the western part of the country. This year alone, we've been seeing the same thing. Actually on the reverse. California, we had a lot of flooding this year. Early in the year, especially a lot of snow, and the rain kind of continued all year long. And then obviously the hurricanes Harvey and Irma, Marie, And then on top of that, a lot of other severe weather flooding that occurred throughout the year this year as well. So obviously financial impact, over the last 3 years has been pretty dramatic. As you see, since 2015, over $150 billion in damages. This year alone, we're at over 300. So very, high impact. A lot of clubs, especially down in Southwest Florida and in the Houston and Texas areas that were severely affected. So I'm sure many of you, if you're from those areas, can attest to the millions in damages that you may have incurred. So impacts of severe weather to clubs. Obviously we have a lot of great concerns, whether it be our patron safety, property damage, employee safety, damage to equipment, any supply chain disruptions, service disruptions, power outages, and obviously with all those can lead to lost sales at the club. Being a PGA golf professional, I worked in the business for 15 years, and I can recall many times when we had severe weather occurring, no one was playing golf. Well, that impacted the whole rest of the club, whether it be the bar sales, a restaurant. It was a trickle-down effect from there. Obviously, those affect all our club activities, from golf to tennis, swimming, any outdoor events, pools, weddings, any outdoor events that the club may host from time to time. So there's a lot of safety dilemmas, and we talk about options that are available to you to help monitor the threat of severe weather at your club. First option is do nothing, ignore the threat. Very high risk involved there. Second option is manually manage the safety concerns. Whether you get you follow any kind of weather apps, radars, any kind of subscription-based programs where you're automatically sent a message saying, hey, lightning is within 10 miles. You're starting to, take advantage of those, keeping everybody safe, but you still have to manage those situations where if something gets missed, you can run into a lot of problems. Third option is to fully install a fully automated lightning and weather detection and alerting system. That's the lowest risk as far as liability. Anything you can do to help lower your liability, you're going to be favored upon to do that. And obviously, anything you can do to take the human element out of your hands, that's the best thing you can do. Let the system do its job and let it work. So there's a lot of fully automated weather solution systems that are out there on the market today. We see there's lightning prediction versus lightning detection. Probably many of you are familiar with a prediction type system where it sounds alerts based off the possibility of a lightning storm. The only thing it does is identifies the electrostatic charge that's in the atmosphere, and then based on probability, it will tell you there's a chance lightning could happen within a certain range of your facility. One of the biggest common problems with these is they can trigger a lot of false alerts or no alerts at all. Having experience, I worked at 2 facilities in my career that had a prediction type system, and I can tell you firsthand, I was never a big fan. Lightning would be a bright, clear, sunny day, and those horns are going off, and we were left wondering what was going on. Other times, we'd be standing there at the golf shop and watching lightning strike all around us, and the horns would not be going off. And then from there, we had to go manually sound to the system, and we lost faith in it. Membership lost faith, and just had a lot of problems that we should haven't been dealing with. So obviously, detection technology, that's where we're seeing everything going nowadays. You get real-time alerts, lowers the false alarms. You're able to get exact location of the storms and exact locations of the lightning strikes. Things can show you lightning is 9.25 miles away from your facility. It's very detailed information that you're able to get right at your fingertips, and you're going to get accurate lead times on as far as when the horns go off, a good estimated time for all clears to get people back out enjoying golf or tennis or the pool and everything. And many questions that we all get when people get pulled off the golf course. They want to know when they're getting back out as soon as they can. So a lot of, as we talked about prediction, it's just really, as we see, it's really not the way to go. A lot of issues, as we talked about. There was a facility in the Mid-Atlantic region several years ago that used a prediction system, and as a result, their teaching professional was struck on the driving range. He survived, but he underwent very many issues to this day. He's got PTSD, he's got memory loss, vertigo, all sorts of things as a result of that lightning strike. But the system did not do its job. There was lightning striking all around the club within 10 to 15 miles inside of that range in the last few minutes of that storm. And lightning activity was 5 minutes prior to the incident were less than 2 miles away. He was struck when a minute and a half after he was struck a minute after the horns went off. I'm sorry, he got struck and a minute later the alert was sounded. So clearly the system didn't do its job, and a lot of issues that we see with those types of systems. So we strongly recommend that you look at a network detection-based system. So fully automated weather, comparing detection type systems as well. There's single node detection systems. They are good because they do detect lightning strikes. Problem is, it's the only monitoring asset that you have available to you. It's a single node system. So if that sensor goes offline, you're in the dark, you have nothing. They're only accurate out to about 20 miles away. And as far as any kind of accuracy, they don't give you a detailed accuracy as far as where that lightning is occurring. They can only say, okay, there was lightning so many miles away. With a network-based system, excuse me, network-based system, there's a network of lightning sensors around the country. Earth Networks as itself has about 1,500 lightning sensors around the country. We're adding more sensors all the time. Being able to have a network of sensors gives you the ability to pinpoint exactly where those strikes are happening. So it gives you greater accuracy. We expand worldwide with our lightning detection network. So we're able to show you exactly where those strikes are happening and how far away they are from you to help make better decisions to keep your membership and your staff safe. As we see, we give our coverage map of our total lightning detection network. We're in 90+ countries. And where you see the real bright reds, we're able to see where our coverage is the most dense. We can show you as far as lightning all around the world, over the oceans, but where you see over the U.S., Central America, Africa, Australia, India, the Middle East, or not the Middle East, the Far East there, able to really show you where everything's happening, in Europe as well. So Lightning Detection Network provides intelligence for current and forecasting storms. We took a little screenshot of a storm that occurred this past year here, and able to see the lightning strikes as they're identified. Those little yellow marks are lightning strikes that are occurring during a storm. But we're able to identify severe storm cells, give a predicted direction of the storm, which way the storm is going to take. And if you see that little purple watch box, we call that a DTA. It's a dangerous thunderstorm alert. And what that's able to show is a severe thunderstorm that is moving in your area. That storm is going to affect a certain area. We know if we see hurricane, the cone of uncertainty gives the idea of where that hurricane is going to pass over. Same thing with a thunderstorm. We're able to show you that hey, if you're in this purple watch box, you better be ready because you have something coming on you very quickly, and it's going to get pretty bad. Excuse me. So the key aspects to consider with everything that we're able to provide, storm tracking, visualization, real-time alert delivery, whether it be text alerts or emails, all clear countdown clocks, gives you an estimated time for all clear. If your system is set up for, say, 10 miles in 30 minutes for the all clear, it's going to have a countdown timer. It'll start ticking down from the time of the last lightning strike. It'll show you the time it happened and how far away that lightning strike was when it occurred. If another strike were to occur within that time frame, it's going to reset back to 30, but as the storm starts moving further away, it's going to give you that estimated time for all clear, and really can help keep everybody in the know of what's happening. You're able to share it with your membership. We have a lot of facilities that utilize it. They'll put up on the TV, on an iPad, wherever that it's visible to people to see. And then obviously, we're able to fully configure the system as well. The recommendation is 10 miles if lightning is within 10 miles, that the alert should go off. And then it's recommended to wait 30 minutes if there's been no lightning within that parameter. We realize a lot of clubs are in to keep their members happy, and you want to keep people safe. So trying to determine what works best for you to to make sure you're doing the right things, but maybe you want to take it down to 8 miles in 20 minutes. You have full capabilities to do all that. So how it works, so lightning is detected within a predetermined range, say 10 miles. Alert horns and strobe lights will go off. All key personnel are notified via text message or email. At that point, all outdoor activities are to stop immediately, and all persons should seek the closest safe shelter. What we consider a safe shelter would be an enclosed building, whether it's it's a fully plumbed building, much like a clubhouse or a maintenance building. As we see a lot of courses, and I play quite a bit of golf myself when I can. And you see a lot of rain shelters. It has a roof and it may not be covered on the sides. Those are not recommended shelters to keep people safe from a lightning strike. Even if they do have a lightning rod on top of them, lightning can hit the ground in front of them and skip into those. Therefore, it could affect folks that are inside those shelters. So a fully enclosed structure is where you should be, or inside of a car if all possible. So as far as, other ways, to monitor the storms when you're under alert, staff should have both the Spheric Maps program and the countdown clock running to monitor the storm, get an estimated time to allow members, to notify them when they can resume activity. The other thing that we strongly recommend, ensure signs or labels are prominently displayed in locker rooms, golf carts, other public areas within the clubhouse to make members aware of severe weather procedures. That's the biggest thing I would say, is make sure it's posted everywhere you can possibly put it to let people know, here's our policy, here's what happens, here's what you need to do. And then obviously ensure all your staff are trained and up to speed on severe weather procedures that the club manages. So big question we always get, how does this affect our insurance premiums? As we've talked to many insurance professionals over the years, many insurers, they appreciate the investment into patron safety. So much so they may view the venue's risk profile more favorably or offer individual risk premium modification credits that could adjust the policies in the policyholder's favor. It's a common question that I get asked a lot is, are we more liable? Are we not more liable? Some people will say, hey, you're more liable if you have a system in place. It's quite the contrary, as we said right here. It's recommended by insurance companies that you do have an automated lightning detection system in place at your facility to help lower that liability that you could face. As I tell people all the time, you're probably going to face a lawsuit one way or the other, whether you have a system or you don't. You're better to have something in place that says, hey, the alert was alerted at 2 o'clock, the individual was struck at, say, 2:30, they ignored that warning. They had ample time to get back in. Right there, they can show, hey, look, we did all we can do. That person, as an adult, made a reasonable decision to ignore the warning to get back in. All right, so we're going to talk a little more about Army Navy Country Club and what Mr. King does there. We'll get a little overview. And Pat, before we continue on, do you have anything to add with what I just talked about?
No, I think you presented it well. One thing we all have in common as club managers is there's always weather, and the majority of us have activities that are outside, so this stuff's important. Exactly. Yeah, as we work with a lot of clubs throughout the country, and we work with a lot of very big clubs around the country, a lot of well-known, nationally recognized clubs, and they all come to us. Asking, say, hey, look, this is what we have, this is what we've been doing, maybe not have been doing. It's something where they may have had an incident or maybe had a very close call that, said, hey, we need to do something. We need to do everything we can possibly do to help keep our membership and keep our staff safe when severe weather rolls around. Because as Pat just said, it happens. It's inevitable that something, you're going to get severe weather impacted no matter what. So Pat, I'll let you take a little bit from here. I'll control the slides if you want to talk a little more about Army Navy Country Club, Fairfax, and Arlington campuses.
Sure. Well, let me start by saying we've had this system for a little over 5 years now, and we were very old school, whereas the golf staff was making the decision on whether or not to sound the horn, and then we were sending staff out to go collect people and bring them in off the golf course. And we could be having an event at our Fairfax property with lightning and rain and nothing happening at Arlington. So this system has certainly enhanced us in a number of ways. As you see on the screen, our two properties are 14 miles apart. So on the phone app that I have, when I get an email alert saying that there's a lightning strike within, I think we have it set up between 5 and 6 mile range. At Fairfax, I know that I'm going to have lightning generally within 20 to 27 minutes at Arlington. So Fairfax in this case is kind of the guinea pig because the storms usually go west to east, and it helps in a lot of different ways. But with 500 acres, I mean, you know, you can imagine how hard it would be to have staff go out and try to find everybody who's on the golf course. We have 27 holes of golf at each golf course. And then if you talk about it as a safety feature, much prefer using the WeatherBug system in order to you know, alert people, our members. It probably took a year and a half for them to get on board with it, even with all the, as Brian said, you put things in the locker rooms and you send out email blasts on what the systems mean and the number of horns mean come off, and then you get the all clear and you can go back out. But now that we've had it for a number of years, the members love it. If we have golf outings and outside crews, groups coming in, we give them a notice to competitors, and the information is on there on what they do and how they do it. And it's great for the members, it's great for the guests, and it keeps us from having to send 16-year-olds out on the golf course to go retrieve people in the middle of a lightning storm.
Yeah, we don't recommend that. That's
yeah.
I remember my father's a PGA member. He's retired, and going back to the early 90s, I worked for him in the bag room for a couple of years when I was in high school, and I remember we would get storms coming rolling in, and he would tell us to go get them, and myself and usually one of the other assistants, we would ride around the golf course and pull people off. And after one time driving down and a lightning strike hit 2 holes over, I just started asking myself, why am I doing this? I can fully attest it's not a recommended procedure to do.
Yeah, and quite honestly, we put this in for golf because, you know, that's what you think of, but we now use it for every outdoor activity. Last year we did over 40,000 pool visits at our Arlington property, and we use the system for aquatics as well. I mean, you don't want people in the pools during a lightning storm, obviously.
Yep.
Tennis, we have a large tennis facility, and as everybody knows, al fresco and outdoor dining and outdoor activities, weddings outdoors are so popular now that it's nice to have an idea of what the weather is and what it's coming, and even trying to forecast before you get, you know, even lightning strikes, but using the weather app to see what's coming and forecasting hour by hour to make some decisions has been very helpful.
Absolutely. No, I can agree with that as well. And one thing that's a great way the system does work and the way it's designed, and Patrick, I know you guys do a lot of it. You know, we'll see. And I think, Patrick, your horns are set up for 6 miles, if I'm not mistaken. What you guys are set to. So perfect example. You know, that the 6 mile radius works for you guys, and you know may work differently for somebody else. But the great thing that the system is able to do is, you know your horns are set for 6 miles, but you can also set up an alert through our Spheric Maps program that will give you an alert, just a text alert right to yourself or, you know, key staff members, say, hey, lightning's 20 miles away. Gives you an opportunity to get a little bit of a heads up, see what's out there, see which way it's going. That way, you know, if you mention, you know, al fresco dining and outdoor weddings and events, you can make those determinations a little earlier. Say, hey, we got a storm rolling our way. We might need to be pulling this thing inside, you know, to give the food and beverage staff you know, a little more of a heads up. And Patrick, like you said, I think, you know, a lot of people, they put these systems in place just for the golfers and then realize afterwards, hey, look, well, this is going to help our pool people, our pool staff, and our tennis and outdoor events. So that's as I look at these systems from a standpoint. It's a club-wide system, not just a golf system.
No, absolutely. I mean, I was the guy when I was a kid on the golf course and had 3 holes to go and having a great round and said, I can finish the round a little bit, you know, like Caddyshack. And lo and behold, my buddy and I actually got hit by lightning. So I certainly pay attention to these systems now. Obviously, back there in the dark ages, we didn't have systems like this, but yeah, I certainly got a whooping when I got home.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I can imagine. All right, so we'll roll through here a little bit, and you know, as we talked about how Army Navy you know, tackles their risk of weather. And we look through you know, what they have at their facility, and you know, they obviously have the whole system, as we like to say. They have the whole package. You know, with their in-cloud and cloud ground detection software that they're able to utilize, with the automated you know, the warning systems, all clear messages, customized alerts. So at both properties combined, they have 7 total horns. They have 4 horns at the Arlington property, 3 at the Fairfax. Each facility has its own lightning sensor, and they have 2 weather stations. They have access to the Spheric Maps program, which is the visualization program that shows radar, but also visualizes all the lightning strikes. Obviously, access to the countdown clocks, multiple high-definition displays that shows current weather conditions based on the weather at those locations. They have, you know, as everyone knows, you know, weather can change from 3 miles away. You know, it could be bright and sunny at one area and they're getting a ton of, or the other one's getting a ton of rain. And as Patrick said, you know, he knows when Fairfax is getting the storm, Arlington's not too far behind. So we're able to show you up to the moment weather information from your facility that you're going to see everything happening. A lot of times when you do pull up weather data, whether, you know, just off any weather app or if you go online somewhere, usually it's pulling from the closest airport where there's a National Weather Service station. Where our stations are hyper-local. It would be Army Navy Fairfax or Army Navy Arlington are going to have their own station that would be named as such. You know exactly what's happening. They also utilize 2 HD cameras that they have on site. One at each facility shows, you know, whether it looks out over the golf course, you know, down the first hole or down the 18th green. Members can jump on through the app and see what it looks like at the golf course. Or maybe if Patrick's away at a CMAA event in San Francisco this year, he can pull up the camera, see what it looks like at the club, make sure, you know, see if the snow's melting at that point in March, or, you know we got people out, or we got people out playing. You never know, wherever you are. So, so as we talked about, they, you know, just kind of give a little quick overview of their coverage radius of their facilities. We got Arlington on the left, Fairfax on the right, and it just shows the horn coverage of those locations. Each horn is rated for 700 yards, or I'm sorry, about 600 yards coverage. So depending on the facility, obviously when we look at a club, we look at, you know, topography, you know, trees, homes, anything that can, you know, reduce sound coverage. You know, as we see some clubs, we'll say the more older traditional clubs like Fairfax and Arlington, you know, where it's pretty wide open, you know, holes are all close, stacked in together, or, you know, if we get a course down in Naples, Florida, that runs through a community, or, you know, in Hilton Head, South Carolina, for instance, you know, where there's a lot of trees and a lot of homes, and, you know, obviously the sound's going to be affected in different ways. So, you know, we do a full analysis of the facility to determine how many horns they need so everyone can hear them properly, but also, too, we make sure we have good communication between the horns as well, because all the horns are, you know, run through essentially a radio signal that tells each horn to go off. And if there's too much in the way, we can have issues there. So we make sure we don't run into those issues as well.
Yeah, Brian, about the horns, one thing to mention is we have a lot of neighbors that surround the golf courses, and for the first year or so, I would get phone calls saying, what is that noise and why is it going off? And so we ended up letting all the neighbors know what that means. And now they kind of piggyback off us for their own activities and events and things that they're doing. So,
yep.
We're just being good neighbors.
No, absolutely, and you're not the only one we've heard that from. We get that a lot of times. Hey, what do we tell the neighbors? And I think a lot of it's just like you said. You're almost you're providing a service to your community, like you said. That way they know if they I can't go out and walk the dog, or the kids are outside playing, then we need to get in. We work with a facility down in Bonita Springs, Florida, Palmyra Golf Club. And actually, when they put the system into the golf course, they actually kind of worked it in conjunction with the homeowners association it was just like that. Everyone who lives in the community is a member of the club, but they want to maybe make sure Mrs. Jones is aware that there's severe weather in the area and she needs to get back inside from her walk. So definitely a certain circumstance there where the whole community is able to utilize the system. All right, so we put a thing together from 2017. Talk about our lightning detection network. Our network, we're able to detect obviously the cloud-to-ground strikes. That's the stuff we want to avoid. But we're also able to detect in-cloud lightning strikes as well. And being able to detect in-cloud lightning is going to give you a lot more advanced warning to the bad stuff that's going to come at you. But we did a thing. We're able to archive all our lightning data. And we looked back from 2017, and within a 10-mile radius of the Fairfax Club, there were 106 strikes within that perimeter of the club there. So we were able to detect quite a few strikes that occurred over the property. The summer was a pretty bad year for storms. And then actually over top of Arlington, there was 137 strikes over top of Arlington. So a lot of lightning strikes that hit the golf course, or if it was an in-cloud strike just over top of the course. So definitely I can show you, some people will say, we've never had a strike, no one's ever been hit. Well, we can show you now, hey, look, perfect example, there was 137 strikes on top of your property last year. And you hope, and I think it proves right there that the system did its job. I get asked questions a lot of times, how many people do you think have been saved as a result of implementing our lightning system at your facility? And as I always said, I had to think back on it once. I said, it's kind of hard to answer that because, if they listen to the system, they pay attention to what's going on, and they seek shelter, we can save thousands of people just from that one facility every year. And I think it shows right there, 137 strikes over top of Arlington, the Arlington campus. Who knows what could have happened if people didn't heed those warnings. So I think it's great stuff to see. Patrick, anything else to add on top of those things there? That kind of covers what we talked about.
Yeah, I think one thing to mention with the app is it can tell you how far away lightning strikes are. So for example, I just pulled it up, and the weather's great here, but it says closest lightning strike is 1,056 miles away. So I think we're okay, but
yep.
you can monitor that stuff when a storm's coming.
Absolutely, yeah. And I for myself personally, when if I'm not playing golf or if I'm on the water, I don't have access to some of the tools I have. I'm fortunate to enjoy here with Earth Networks. I definitely utilize the app all the time. Say if I'm out playing golf at a facility that doesn't have a lightning system, I can have it right away. So okay, I got lightning 20 miles away. I better really start keeping an eye on it. Or if I'm on the water, I'm a big fisherman. Obviously that's important too. For, as we said, any kind of outdoor activities to make sure I keep myself safe. And as Patrick said, he was struck by lightning several years ago. I myself, I'm a lightning strike survivor. I was struck back in 1998 while camping up in Lake George, New York, and as a result, one of my best friends was killed. Who was right next to me. So, and my wife, she was there. We were dating at the time, and another friend. All three of us survived and are well now. But we lost a very good friend as a result of that strike. So I'm very passionate in what I do here at Earth Networks, and really makes me feel fortunate to share my story a little bit and make sure I do what I can do to try to help people as safe as I can. All right, so we'll go a little bit more. We'll just give a quick overview about Earth Networks.
And so we were founded in 1993. As most people are probably familiar, we were formerly known as WeatherBug. We sold the WeatherBug name last year to an ad company. We still control all the weather data that goes to the WeatherBug app. We've always been known as Earth Networks. That was always our corporate name, as we said, and WeatherBug was a brand. But we sold that brand last year. We still run everything the same as we were prior to that. But we were founded in 1993. Our corporate headquarters are in Germantown, Maryland. We're just up the road from Washington, D.C. But we have the largest global observation network. We have just over 10,000 weather stations globally. And as I said, we have about 1,500 lightning sensors, and both of those numbers are growing all the time. We're always adding new weather stations and new lightning sensors. So we're able to really give you, hyper-local weather data from your site. If you have the WeatherBug app, you pull it up, that app is going to pull from the closest weather station to your location, whether it be a school right down the street from you, it could be a golf course, any kind of city, state, local government that may have a station there on place. You're going to get the weather information right from your location. Myself personally, I live in Annapolis, Maryland. I have a school. It's about 500 yards from my house that has a WeatherBug station there, so I'm able to get very good accurate weather information right from my home. Key solutions, obviously, as we talk about, is our outdoor alerting system, our horns, and our weather stations with our lightning sensor network as well. So what we do, we automated decisions to help global organizations mitigate financial, operational, and human risk by integrating environmental intelligence into their operations. As I said, we power the world's largest and most hyper-local proprietary data that is available, when it comes to weather and lightning. We talk about golf courses. 96% of the golf courses and sports organizations agreed that Earth Networks provides real-time intelligence they need to make more informed weather-related decisions. From that standpoint, we work with a lot of different customers and partners throughout the country. Just a small sampling of some of the well-known golf and country clubs that we work with around the country. But obviously, we work very closely with organizations like the CMAA. We work with 16 different PGA sections around the country, obviously the Mid-Atlantic, and work with South Florida, Met New York, the Gateway section, both North and South Texas. So we're covered. We work with a lot of those partner organizations as well. But we also work with a lot of big well-known sports organizations. We work with NFL, Major League Soccer, NHL, and Major League Baseball. NHL uses us for all their outdoor Winter Classic games, Stadium Series games throughout the winter time. We give all the Met services. They place weather stations around the ice to make sure temperatures are where they need to be, or they can determine what they have to do to the ice. With NFL, Major League Baseball, they utilize all our lightning, safety, and Met services partners programs that we have here. Obviously, weather is a big concern, and they need to know if rain's coming, they need to postpone a baseball game or get the players off the field. And same with Major League Soccer as well. So we work with a lot of big organizations around the country that utilize our solutions. And that wraps up everything I have. I don't know if Patrick, do you have anything else to end with there? Or?
No, I'm good. And heaven forbid I tell everybody a joke. So.
Exactly. Well, thank you again. We appreciate the opportunity to speak with everyone today. I hope we were able to answer some questions for you. And please, if you have any questions, let us know. We would love to answer them.
Well, thank you, guys. There's a couple questions I'd still like to introduce or encourage people to put those more questions in. One just came in. It says, you mentioned that signals from the sensors to the sirens are transmitted by radio frequencies. Is there an option to wire the communication from the sensors to the horns via fiber optics or hard wiring?
David, I'm sorry, I missed that. Can you ask that again?
Sure.
I'm sorry.
I think basically I think they're asking is that you mentioned that the signals are sent to sensors or are sent to radio frequencies or wireless. Is there a way to connect the sensors to the horns through some type of wired network, either through fiber optics or traditional wiring?
Okay, gotcha. Great question. Sorry, I misunderstood you the first time. So the way the system works, as far as communication between the horns, it's all done by radio. So when the alert does come in, because it is a web-based system, essentially the alert comes in at, say, lightning's within 10 miles of your location based on a GPS point. At that point, that system then tells the horns to go off. You're going to have your base horn at the facility. Actually, I will go back to show just a quick overview of Army Navy courses. So if I go back to the coverage radiuses, if you see on the maps, you'll see some dots. You'll see a red dot. That's their base horn. That's their main outdoor alerting horn there. So the alert goes into that main horn, and then there's a radio signal that tells the remotes, which are green dots, to go off. So there's no, no kind of wired infrastructure, so to speak, that is needed to make those horns go off. The only thing that the horns need is power, and they're all backed up on a 72-hour battery backup as well. But we hardwire everything in, so whether there's a rest station in place, a pump house, we can even tap off the electricity from an irrigation box on the facility as well. And those are things we do when we work with clubs as we're doing our analysis to say, hey, look, here's how many horns we need. We look for any kind of structure where we can attach those. So I hope that answered that question.
Okay, thanks. The next question came in and says, do you provide data that can be used for insurance-related lightning hits?
We do. So we do archive all our lightning data, and actually, I have a great story. A facility we worked with down in Memphis, Tennessee, who's had our system for actually quite some time. They were one of our first adopters. They had 2 years ago. They had their main irrigation pump was actually took a direct strike from a lightning strike, and as their engineer said to the general manager, he goes, we've had one or two things happen. It was either a massive electrical surge, which is very highly unlikely, or there was a lightning strike. He called me a couple days after the whole incident happened, and as I asked him, okay, what was the date? What was the approximate time that you think happened? He gave me all that data, and we were able to go back in. We found 3 lightning strikes within 100 yards of that pump. That was the main culprit. At that point, he was able to submit that for insurance, and I think it was in the neighborhood of a little over $100,000. As we know, irrigation pumps are not cheap, so obviously that was a big savings on their part. Okay, great.
The next question was, what access do members have to the alerts and visualization of strikes? I know you've mentioned the general manager can have it on an app or something like that, but did the general membership get that information as well?
The general membership can see it. I think a lot of clubs that we work with, and I think Patrick's, they do much of the same at Army Navy, where they'll have the visualization program up and running at the club. I know several clubs we work with, they'll have a dedicated TV in the golf shop, or maybe they'll pull up on a computer where membership can see it. But they can, and that's more the detailed stuff through the spheric maps. But if folks are downloaded the WeatherBug app, they can see through the Spark feature in there where strikes are, but also be able to pull up the weather data from the club. So at, say, Army Navy Arlington, they can pull the weather data and information right up there. As far as from a standpoint
we have a screen in each golf shop, and the shops get full after there's a lightning strike and everybody comes in because they want to see the countdown and see how soon they can get back out on the golf course.
Yeah, exactly. But I think from a standpoint of allowing members to get the text or email alerts, it's a two-sided answer, as I will say a lot of times. Yes, they can. At the same time, that person is going to get those alerts no matter what. Whether they are on playing golf or they're down in wherever for the summer or for the winter time, they're going to get alerts from the club 24/7. As we say, we typically say the alerts are for the decision makers of the club. So yes, they can get them. We recommend not, just because they're going to get them all the time, and after a while it may become white noise to them, and they'll ignore them when they really need to.
Okay, thanks. basically, what type of maintenance does this system require? That was another question that we had.
Yeah, maintenance, our maintenance, there is no maintenance. Our system is completely maintenance-free. Unlike the prediction type systems that are on the market, where they have to be cleaned once a month, at least they're recommended they get them cleaned once a month to ensure the sensors are cleaned off, so they pick up the predictive nature of storms that they claim to provide. Ours, you don't have to do that. Ours are maintenance free, so you don't have to worry about getting on the roof to clean the sensors off, and as far as that goes. So yeah, there's no maintenance on our systems.
Okay. Got one more question here. What kind of lead time does a lightning detection system provide for golfers or for the staff? Like how much time is it giving them?
Yeah, so I think as we talked early on, we recommend the 10-mile radius. So if lightning is detected within 10 miles, that should trigger the alert. And then to wait 30 minutes from the time of the last strike. So if there's been no lightning strikes within your 10-mile radius for 30 minutes, then it's deemed all clear. As we said, you have the ability to customize those parameters, just like Army Navy does. They're set for 6 miles, and I believe they're set for 20 minutes, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. Yeah, you guys are set for 20 minutes. So again, it's one of those customizable features to what works best for you to to keep everybody safe.
Okay, I just got a question in. It says, or actually 2 more questions. One says, I am on the beach. What would I need? So I'm assuming they're asking, everything you're showing is a golf club. Does it work? Would it work as well just for a beach club or something like that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we have several yacht and beach clubs that do utilize our system. So yeah, they would they're definitely able to take advantage of those systems to alert obviously if people are on the docks or they're on the beach and the pools. To alert folks to get them in.
Is it the same type of system that you would have for, say, a golf course?
Yep, absolutely. Yep, same type of system. Yep.
Okay.
Generally, what I do see with those folks that we do work with, they may dial down their parameters a little bit. Because obviously lightning can strike from within 10 miles, and that's the as we say, the warning area. So that's what we do recommend. But if they're just trying to clear a pool area, they may not need as much time to get people back in, but it's always, as I always see it, it's better to err on the side of caution.
Okay. Another question came in, says clubs will get sued if somebody is injured by a lightning strike. Do you see any court action that says with the lower costs, is it better to have a system than not have a system? I guess is there any? And then it says lower cost of lightning systems. So I guess it's asking, do you see any? Having a system, does it help lower any type of cost? I think that's what they're asking.
Yeah, I think probably from a liability standpoint, insurance standpoint, it can. And as we talked about, we covered the liability section. There's points that insurers will include. I'll go back to, here we go. There's points that insurers, will, modification credits that they'll get to adjust those policies. I talked to one insurance professional at a PGA event up in Connecticut last year, and he told me straight up, he goes, when we go into a club to do, the risk assessments, do they have a lightning detection system? Do they have the AEDs on site? Any of those things that, hey, look, those are the things you need to have available to help reduce liability. And he told me, he goes, we tell people they have to have a lightning, and he was specific, a lightning detection system on site to help reduce that liability. And he told me, he goes, I would hate to be on the stand, defending my club, and I get asked the question, how come you didn't invest in a $25,000 lightning system, where the person was killed? And he goes, you're done. He goes, if you say, well, we didn't want to invest the money, he goes, you've automatically lost. So, it is definitely recommended to have something in place to help reduce that liability.
Okay, thanks. I don't see any other questions, so both Brian and Patrick, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you everyone for signing in.